I'm sorry that we won't be able to record it because none of us see that recording button on here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing my screen to get my PowerPoint up. Okay. All right. So here is the agenda for today. I'm Leslie Ann Stutz. I'm the Director of Planning at the Town of Gibsons, and I'm introducing the local government approach. After me, I'm going to pass the floor to Laura De Carolis from the Electricity and Alternative Energy Division at the BC Ministry of Energy, Mines and Low Carbon Innovation. Following that, we've got John Drazik from FortisBC. He's the Regional Energy Solutions Manager, and he will present the FortisBC New Home Program. Following that, we've got Patricia Trish Dennell. She's the Community Relations Manager, and she's from the Community Energy Association, and she will do a step code introduction. So she'll introduce all the nuts and bolts of the step code. And then finally, last but not least, is Christy May Satch, and she is a certified energy advisor. So she'll talk about what it's like working with an energy advisor. And then we've got Q&A beginning at around 9:30, and we've got this webinar open till 10. So if you have any questions during the presentations, please type them in the chat box, and I will read them to a panelist at the end of the presentations. If you're calling in and it's tricky to type, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen, and I can activate your speaker so that you can ask questions. Okay, so this webinar is facilitated by the Town of Gibsons, the Sunshine Coast Regional District, so that's Alan Whittleton here from the SCRD, and the District of Sechelt, and we've got Andrew Allen here. He's the Director of Planning. We are all en route to implement the step code to step 1 on January 1st, 2021. With this in mind, we would have preferred to have this meeting in person, but with COVID restrictions, we couldn't. So here we are in a Zoom webinar and kind of winging it this way. The purpose of this webinar is to share what we can with you at this point, and to share some resources with you before the step code is in effect. So before step 1 is in effect. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know what the step code is. But for those of you who don't, I'll give you a very quick summary of a complex standard, and I'll let Trish answer any of the tough questions about it during her presentation. No pressure, Trish. Okay, so in 2017, the province adopted the BC Energy Step Code, which is a standard designed to help both local government and industry steadily move towards a future where all new buildings across BC are net zero energy ready by 2032. So what that means is a net zero energy ready building is a building that produces as much energy as it consumes. They are up to 80% more energy efficient than a typical new building today. The step code is a performance-based standard, and essentially each step from 1 to 5 hits a higher energy efficiency standard. So the higher it gets, the more energy efficient it is. But the big takeaway from this introduction is to know that as of January 1st, 2021, all new buildings across the Sunshine Coast, so the Town of Gibsons, District of Sechelt, and Sunshine Coast Regional District will be moving towards the step 1 standards. So the District of Sechelt, I think their bylaw has had 3 readings and it's scheduled for adoption in the next couple of weeks. So not quite adopted yet, but almost there. So I will now pass the floor to Laura to introduce the Clean BC Better Homes new construction program. Thank you. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and Laura, I'll let you go ahead and share yours.
Great, thanks, Leslie Ann. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So good morning, everyone, and thanks to the organizers for inviting me to present today and to share our new Clean BC step code related offer. My name is Laura DeCarlis, and I'm a program coordinator with the Energy Efficiency Branch within the Ministry of Energy, Mines, and Low Carbon Innovation. We just 1 week ago launched a new incentive program called the Clean BC Better Homes New Construction Program, which times really well with this webinar. So I'm here today to tell you a bit more about this new offer, what it's all about, the eligibility criteria, available rebates that builders can access in order to build a step code home, and how to apply. So the Clean BC Better Homes New Construction Program provides financial incentives for the construction of new high-performance residential homes. The program will help advance our Clean BC objectives and help achieve the building sector's 2030 emission reduction target by supporting energy step code adoption and incentivizing builders to use electric, space, and water heating systems. The program will also help prepare the market for higher performance building code requirements leading up to 2032, when Leslie Ann already mentioned all new buildings will be required to be net zero energy ready. This new program is developed and funded by the province of BC through the Ministry of Energy, Mines, and Low Carbon Innovation, and it's being administered on our behalf by BC Hydro. When we were designing the program, we wanted to provide builders with flexibility about how they can participate in the program. And so to that end, we have 2 rebate pathways that builders can choose from. The first one is the Energy Step Code pathway. As the name suggests, this one is directly associated with step code. So this is the pathway for a builder that's constructing a new home that meets a minimum BC step code level of 3 and uses electric, space, and water heating systems. When I say that space and water heating systems must be electric, the specific type of equipment we are not weighing in on in this pathway. So that's ultimately up to the builder and the homeowner and energy advisor to decide what that looks like. But conversely, in the heat pump pathway, again, as the name suggests, this is a very equipment focused pathway and specifically targeted towards a builder that's constructing a new home that uses an electric heat pump for space heating, water heating, or both. And that this pathway does not have a step code requirement associated with it. So for example, in the Sunshine Coast area where step 1 is required, you could build a step 1 or step 2 home and participate in the heat pump pathway. Sorry, I should say when step 1 will be required. And then in either pathway, applicants can access 2 add-on rebates. So these include firstly the all electric bonus, which is a bonus rebate for a home that is built that has no fossil fuel connection whatsoever. So not just for space heating and water heating, but no fossil fuel connection associated with any appliance, for example, cooktops or fireplaces. This is optional, but if a home is constructed to this manner, they'll receive an additional incentive of $4,000 per home. And then the second bonus rebate is called the Energy Advisor Support Rebate. And this is an additional incentive of $1,000 per home for working with a program qualified energy advisor. And this $1,000 is split between the builder, who will get $800, and the energy advisor, who will get $200 per individually modeled home or unit. So regarding eligibility, homes can be constructed by either a licensed residential builder here in British Columbia or an owner builder that has the appropriate authorization from BC Housing. And this is a residential Part 9 focused program. And so therefore homes must be constructed in compliance with Part 9 of the BC Building Code, and where applicable, the municipally adopted minimum BC Energy Step Code requirements. It is worth noting that our ministry does offer a Part 3 focused new construction program. So if that is your focus, then there is a different option available for those types of dwellings. Since BC Hydro is administering the program on our behalf, homes must be constructed in BC Hydro's service territory, and that includes the New Westminster area. Eligible building types, they can include single-family detached homes, laneway homes, duplexes, and lastly, row or townhouses. Builders are welcome to apply directly to the program if they would like, but if they would prefer, they can also choose to appoint and authorize an energy advisor to apply on their behalf. Builders that are participating in the energy step code pathway or that are applying for the energy advisor support rebate or the all electric bonus in the heat pump pathway, they must work with a program qualified energy advisor. And lastly, building permits must be issued on or after April 1st, 2020. Okay, so I'm going to jump into some more information on the specific incentive levels available now. So the incentives available through the heat pump pathway, as I've already mentioned, are tied to the type of equipment that is installed in the home. And again, this is regardless of energy step code level. Incentives are available for a variety of different heat pump types, including firstly, air source heat pumps. So those could include variable speed compressor, mini split, multi-split, or central air source heat pumps. In terms of efficiency requirements, they must have a heating seasonal performance factor greater than or equal to 9.3 and a seasonal energy efficiency ratio greater than or equal to 16. If they meet those requirements and they're on the qualifying product list, then they will receive a rebate of $3,000. Air to water hydronic heat pumps, combined space and water heat pumps, and heat pump water heaters are also eligible. And the rebate levels for those heat pump types are $3,000 for air to water systems, $4,000 for combined space and water heat pumps, and $1,000 for heat pump water heaters. And again, all of the heat pumps must be on the appropriate qualifying product list, and we have links to those on our website. Once again, for this pathway, the energy advisor support rebate and the all electric bonus are optional. However, if they are applied for successfully, then the builder will receive additional rebates of $1,000 per individually modeled home or unit for the energy advisor support rebate and $4,000 for the all electric bonus. In the energy step code pathway, the rebates are tied to the energy step code step that is achieved by the home. And in order to participate in this pathway, homes must achieve step 3 or higher. Available rebates are $4,000 for a step 3 home, $6,000 for a step 4 home, and lastly, $10,000 for either a step 5 or a passive house certified home. Since all builders in this pathway are required to work with an energy advisor already, they'll automatically be assessed for the energy advisor support rebate when they apply. But again, the all electric bonus is optional. Okay, so before applying, I ask that applicants carefully review our program website, including 2 key documents, the rebate eligibility requirements and the terms and conditions to confirm that they are eligible for the program. The program, so once confirming eligibility, the program has a 2-step application process, and the first step of which is pre-registration. Applicants will be asked to submit an online form with details about the home or homes they intend to build. And in that form, we'll ask for the contact information from the builder, contact information from the energy advisor, and some details about the home in terms of the dwelling type, its size, and what step they're aiming to comply with if participating in the step code pathway. Once that form is submitted, BC Hydro will review it and then send an email within 30 days to applicants to let them know whether or not they have been pre-approved. From the date that BC Hydro sends out that email saying, yes, you've been pre-approved for the program, builders will have 12 months to construct the new home. And following construction, applicants will be then asked to complete the post-construction application and submit the required supporting documentation for the program. Recognizing that we have a pre-registration step and a post-construction application, we wanted to make things as streamlined and efficient as possible for builders and energy advisors who may be applying. So to that end, the information that's submitted at the pre-registration stage will automatically be populated when you open up your post-construction application. It can be revised. So for example, if you were aiming for step 4 and then you achieved step 3, then you can change that in the post-construction application. But ultimately it will help save time by helping applicants avoid entering redundant information again in that post-construction application. For example, your contact information. So we hope that will save applicants a lot of time. And then finally, once the post-construction application is submitted to BC Hydro, if it's approved and everything is in order, then the appropriate rebate will be issued to the builder and energy advisor. So I went through everything quite quickly, and there's a lot more information on the program on our website. So I do encourage you all to visit that link. So the program website is betterhomesbc.ca/cleanbc-new-construction. As well, if you have questions about the program, of course, feel free to ask them during this webinar, but you can also send me an email at any time. So this government email address on the screen, betterhomesbc@gov.bc.ca, will go directly to my inbox. And one of my colleagues, Adrian Kandrew, he works directly for BC Hydro. He is also available to support both builders and energy advisors in working through this program. So please feel free to reach out to Adrian as well if you have any questions or need support. So thanks again for inviting me to be here today. And I think I'm 1 minute over, so I'll stop there.
Think you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I do see some questions lining up in the chat box. So if any of the panelists can see those, and feel free to answer them. And if not, we'll get to them at the end of the presentations. So back to you, John. Thank you. John, do you want me to share your presentation, or?
I'm going to give it a try here with the screen share option.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. What could possibly go wrong? How's that working? Here should come across right about now. Are you okay there? Can you see that?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, I'm good to go. Thank you. Well, hello and good morning. My name is John Drazik. I'm a Regional Energy Solutions Manager with FortisBC, and very happy to be here today. Thanks so much for inviting us, and really excited about the session that you're putting on here. I've been involved with the gas company for about getting on close to 30 years. And through that time, I had a lot of opportunity since the 1990s to work on the Sunshine Coast, where on the planning side, we were picking the route for the gas lines to go in existing neighborhoods, and then working possibly with some of the builders that are on the line now, looking at how to get gas into developments and service lines. So spent a lot of time at the Cedars Inn there and all the other hotels and restaurants on the Sunshine Coast. Certainly love the area. So much development happening, and very looking forward to well, I guess we'll call them safer times ahead when we're able to connect and get back on to the coast and visit in person. Also on the line today is Greg Enns. He's our Energy Solutions Manager that works on the Sunshine Coast with builders and developers and homeowners and helping them find innovative energy solutions. So I'm going to provide today a little bit of I'll cover our incentives on the new home program. I'm also going to explain another element we have for that called our design offer, and talk a little bit about climate policy and what Fortis is doing to help the province and Canada meet its climate objectives there, all within 10 minutes. So without further ado, I'll just move right into it here. So you may know that when the STEP code was introduced, FortisBC aligned our incentives with the STEP code. And we, at that time, offer, and I'll explain how this works here. So as a builder, you have an option to what we call option A, and that's to build a home to a STEP code level, be it step 2 up to step 5. And the eligibility requirements are on that, or that is that the home is using our energy system for the thermal heat, which we call this, which is defined as this space heating and the water heating. And we recently increased our incentives in recognition of COVID and impacts in the affordability of building high performance homes. So we've increased these to $3,000 at step 2 and right on up to $10,000 at step 5. As a builder, you also have an option where you may not choose to go and try to hit a certain level of step code. You can go what we call a prescriptive pathway and take advantage of incentives that we offer to help the home be more energy efficient and by installing high efficiency water heaters. And we've recently increased our storage tank water heater rebate to $500. You might be familiar with the tankless units, that's at $1,000. And we also have a $1,200 incentive for the installation of high efficiency combination heating systems. And if you're not familiar with what these are, we're seeing this really starting to take off in the marketplace. And there's a couple of reasons, and as a builder, you'd be interested in knowing this. Combination systems is what you're really doing there is you're using one gas-fired piece of equipment to not only do the domestic hot water, but it can also be used to do the space heating. And the way it does that is it just uses either, it uses the hot water from the hot water system, either through a hydronic loop and conventional radiant heat, but it can also use that hot water in a fan coil on the plenum of a ducted system. So you get the same heat as you would having individual gas-fired furnace and a water heater, but you do it all with one appliance. So as a builder, and as we go through today's presentation, and we're going to learn more about the importance of the building envelope, you want as little penetrations in that as possible. And that's what happens when you use one of these systems, because you're only penetrating the envelope once for that combustion and the exhaust. As a homeowner, there's a lot of benefits as well, because the maintenance of, you're really only maintaining one piece of equipment, and down the road, if there's any issues with it require replacement, it's generally just the one piece of equipment that needs to be replaced. So there's some real advantages with those combination systems, and I know Greg's doing his part to try to get the word out on that front. Now, with either approach, we do offer energy advisor support, and right now we're offering, it's a $500 incentive with $100 to the energy advisor and $400 to the builder. But I can tell you, we are having dialogue about increasing that amount. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hear more about that being released soon about FortisBC on that front. And the energy advisor plays such a key role in this, and we're going to hear more about that today. And the nice part about when you're working on, if you're looking towards achieving one of the step code levels, working with a program registered energy advisor, they're aware of our FortisBC incentives, and the nice part is they're filling out a lot of that paperwork and applying for that on your behalf as a builder. In addition to the incentives that we offer on either option, we also offer additional incentives for using high efficiency or innovative technology. So gas dryers, for example, $100 incentive. Connected thermostats, very popular. We offer those with $100 incentive. EnerChoice gas fireplaces. These are energy efficient fireplaces that we've increased the incentive there to $500. And drain water heat recovery, we offer $250 incentive on that front. And the second piece I want to talk about is something that we're offering, and this came as a result of listening to the building community, and where we understood that, hey, it's great for utilities to offer up these incentives to hit certain levels of step code, but of course, there's no guarantee that you're going to if you're just taking the plans that you have and you're just heading out and trying to get your envelope right. and engaging with an energy advisor, let's say, further into the build, there's a lot of risk for a builder. You may not achieve it, and we respect that. And again, listening to the building community, we came up with what we call a design offer. And what this is saying is that we want to take some of that risk away from in your ability to achieve your goal. And the way to do that is really through a holistic approach and bringing together design professionals early in the development stage, hopefully before the plans are built, certainly before a permit's applied, and working with a team of professionals to come up with a plan to make sure you succeed. So there's a few elements of this. I'll explain them. It's and it ultimately offers an incentive of up to, and this is in addition to our new home program rebates, of $7,000 to reimburse you for the cost to hire those consultants to complete that work. And if you're doing a multifamily development, that's up to $50,000 worth of incentives, again, in addition to our new home program incentives. So really, we're talking about three elements of the build. There's an integrated design process, the envelope design, and a mechanical design. And when we bring all three of those elements together, that's really where you're going to be in a better position to succeed. In terms of eligibility, again, we're looking for projects where our energy system is providing, again, that thermal load, the space and the water heating load. And really beyond that, what we're looking for is come to the table early, come to the table with an open mind. We're going to be talking through this process about optimizing the envelope and changes to the mechanical system, perhaps changes to the building design to help modify to enhance the effectiveness of the whole energy efficiency of the home. And at the end of the day, as a builder, what you're coming out with is really a game plan. You're hitting, before you have your trades on site, you've already had this consultative approach that's dealt with the wall assemblies. You understand the thermal bridges. You know how you're going to tackle that air barrier to make sure it's continuous. You're not fixing this stuff or trying to solve it on site. You've got this stuff all designed ahead of time. On the mechanical side, we know it's very important to have proper heat loss calculations done. We know that there's a lot of mechanical contractors who will just install a higher, a standard furnace off the shelf when it may be oversized, and we know that that doesn't lead to good efficiency. So it's very important to have a proper room-by-room analysis done to ensure that the mechanical system is operating at its ultimate efficiency, which results in your customers having a really comfortable, having comfort in their home without the hot spots, without the cold spots, without callbacks to a builder. And it's through this process, working with the integrated design professionals, that really puts us together. And this happens as a result of early stage involvement, a number of smaller work groups working on the project design and really combining all their specialties together to help provide the builder with a game plan or the design, so that when you hit the site to actually build this, you've got your end goal will be achieved. The third piece that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today, while I still have a few minutes, is on the climate front. BC has some very aggressive climate targets, as well as Canada does under the Paris Accord. And in order for our province of British Columbia to achieve its energy goals, our FortisBC natural gas energy system is going to play a large part in helping our province do that. Questions can be asked about, is it the right choice to still connect to the gas system? And that's a great question to ask. We ask it ourselves, and we know that because we are the leading provider of energy in the province, that we have to take a real leadership role on this. And we're proud to say that we've done that since 2010. And I'll talk to you about 4 pillars of what we're doing under what we call our clean growth pathway to 2050. And this is where we're looking to reduce our customers' emissions by 30% over that time. And we put this together in consultation with the government of British Columbia, and this is all in the BC Clean Energy Plan as well. And we're doing this under 4 pillars, and one of which is the built environment. About 8% of our GHGs in the province are coming from that. And since 2010, we've invested over $300 million in this environment. And that's both with our existing customers. If you think about older mid-efficient equipment, we've provided incentives to get them to higher efficient equipment, as well in low-income situations, offering incentives on insulation and other house improvements on that front. And we've got a very aggressive spend target of $100 million by 2022 on this front as well. So we'll be continuing to encourage the build environment to move towards higher efficiency homes and higher efficiency equipment. The second pillar is a very interesting one, and that's really talking about what we're delivering. We talk about natural gas in our pipeline, but that's changed quite some time ago as we're a leader in North America in developing renewable natural gas. You might know a little bit about this in terms of landfill gas that we're sequestering and we're putting into our pipeline, or farm waste. Those are things that we've been working on for quite some time. But the real promise for us on this front is we strive to achieve a goal of having a 15% of our energy system being renewable energy, is where we can use our vast opportunities with wood waste, for example, to produce a true carbon-free natural gas. In Fruitvale, we're just kicking off a project there that'll see wood waste being changed into a natural gas product that we'll put in our pipeline. It'll be carbon neutral, and it'll provide enough energy for about 12,000 homes. So we're real excited about that. And the other avenue on renewables that we're looking into, and you may have heard about this, is with hydrogen. You'll hear about green hydrogen and blue hydrogen. And there's two pieces there that are interesting. One is the energy itself, which can be carbon neutral. And all this, by the way, helps displace natural gas that we would purchase from our gas fields in northern BC and Alberta, and replaces it with this carbon neutral energy. The other aspect of hydrogen that's really interesting is that it's really talks about where we talk about, it's not a pipes versus a wires sort of a scenario that we're in. It's pipes and wires working together. It's the electric system and the gas system working together. And this is where the natural gas system can work as a battery for the renewable industry. So when solar and wind are generating a lot of energy, maybe in abundant to the needs, then we talk about batteries. And batteries are, in the conventional sense, if you think of a lithium-ion battery, that's one approach. But another approach, which is a lot more affordable, is to actually use that electricity that's being generated cleanly and through electrolysis, convert water into hydrogen and oxygen. That hydrogen is pure clean energy, and we can blend that into our pipeline system and use our natural gas system as a battery to store that energy for when it's needed. So very important role that we're playing on that front. Zero and lower carbon transportation is another area. We've already moved about 900 commercial transport vehicles over to low carbon or no carbon energy. That includes buses. We've got 7 ferries running on liquefied natural gas, transportation trucks. And with our electric division, we've got about 25 chargers, and we're going to move that up to about 40 in the next couple of years. So we're excited there. Our fourth pillar is on global LNG, and that's using our Tilbury liquefied natural gas facility. It produces some of the cleanest natural gas in the world, because we use our hydroelectric system as the drive to convert natural gas into liquefied natural gas. And we're going to be shipping all those ships that come into Vancouver Harbor. We're going to be moving a lot of those off of that heavy bunker and move that onto cleaner burning liquefied natural gas. And we're also shipping LNG over to Asia, where we're displacing heavier hydrocarbon products and providing a much cleaner product on that front. So there's definitely you and your customers can have a clean conscience when you think about utilizing our energy system moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. All right, Trish, you can go ahead and share your screen.
All right. Just a second. Oh, technology. All right. Oh. Okay, that's where I wanted to start. Good morning, everybody. I actually come to you today from Nelson, BC, and I am in both the Fortis electrical and natural gas area. Thanks for the earlier presentations. This is really interesting, and really happy to be with you here on the Sunshine Coast today. So I'm with the Community Energy Association. We're a not-for-profit company in BC. We focus on climate and energy activities, supporting local governments in leading collaboration, deploying, delivering, and building capacity. So today's project is about the BC Energy Step Code, and that's a way of building capacity in the local government so that we can build better. CEA does have members that are driving climate action across the province. Among our members include FortisBC and BC Hydro, the province of BC, and many member communities, all working on climate solutions. Now into the BC Energy Step Code, what we're here to talk about today. As Leslie Ann pointed out, and the earlier speakers, this is a laddered approach to get us from where we are building through the BC Building Code now, or in 2017 when the BC Energy Step Code was introduced, to 2032 when all buildings in BC will be expected to be built to be net zero ready. So to avoid that rude awakening on January 1st, 2032, the stepped approach is helping us all to learn how to build to the BC Energy Step Code. Right now, we are working with the prescriptive pathway of the BC Building Code, and we're transitioning into using the performance pathway. Step 1 of the BC Energy Code, and that's what Gibsons and Seashelt and the Sunshine Coast are about to require, having step 1 in their bylaws starting on January 1st. So that'll be that you're just working with an energy advisor and you're using the performance pathway of the current BC Building Code. The step 2 and 3, as has been said, are working with the energy advisor and moving to be either 10% or 20% more efficient than what the building code requires at this point. And step 4 is 40% better, and then step 5 is the end goal of being net zero ready. Some roadmap to net zero energy ready building. It has been indicated by the province that in 2022, the step 3 will become a requirement in the Part 9 buildings. So this is a chance to sort of get ourselves to understand how to build better. And there's some time to do that. Sorry, my arrows here. We'll talk about this slide later. Again, it's reiterating that we're moving away from the prescriptive energy requirements from Part 9.36 of the Building Code and moving into energy modeling and air tightness testing. As John pointed out, planning, and there's the great rebates available, but planning your building construction project is really important for a holistic approach to building. Since we've introduced Step Code in December 2017, communities like the Sunshine Coast have collectively moved to require that building permits do reference the BC Energy Step Code. So it's moving, and almost all of the even by March 2019, a year ago, before the world changed, 70% of all new BC residential construction was already practicing to the BC Energy Step Code. And loving that the town of Gibsons, the Sunshine Coast, and the District of Seashelt, a holistic approach to consultation, as we're doing today, and then bylaw adoption, so that all the builders working in the 3 different jurisdictions will all be following the same sort of rule of the BC Energy Step Code. What does it measure? Building envelope, equipment and systems, and then a post-construction construction testing, such as an air tightness test. We've got some examples of builders already achieving step 3 in the province. These case studies, I will not go through them all. They're all available online, but they're some examples in the different climate zones. We're going to look at Campbell River. But what you need to be considering as a builder for your typical step 3 homes, there's 6 proven strategies that you keep in mind as you're building. You're boosting your insulation, ventilate smartly, and minding your machine. And on the other side, we're banning our bridges, so making sure you're sealing up all the corners and junctions, sealing it up again. You don't want the air leaks. And think about your doors and windows. Really carefully consider the size, how they're installed, and the performance of those openings. And there they are. Those 6 strategies can cost effectively boost your performance. And the promised case study, which Christy, who's going to speak next, was actually the energy advisor on this project, so she can tell you a little more. But again, it's climate zone 5. They achieved step 3, and they're saying it cost them 0% above what their normal normal way of building over the BC building, the base BC building code. They used a high efficient heat pump. And some of the pieces that they were really thinking about in the Mind Your Machines, they used a tankless on-demand natural gas water heater, and they seal it up. A squirt of spray foam targeted air leaks along the outside edges of the 1st and 2nd floors. So that, I think your spray gun is a really important tool in building to energy efficiency. I wanted to point out this website that Laura mentioned also, but betterhomesbc.ca. This is your source for all of your energy, both for retrofits and new builds, where you can find more information on the rebates. I also love that phone number, the Energy Coach. Maybe it's actually Laura's phone number, I'm not sure, but you actually talk to a person and they can give you tips on your specific building project. It's especially meant for homeowners thinking about doing retrofits, but a great resource to help us all be more energy efficient in our homes. Some of the benefits to homeowners for building better, the lower energy bills, of course, comfort. We've talked about that, minimizing the warm and cold spots in your home. Quiet, you have, with the increased insulation levels and your better windows, you won't hear outside noise, those trucks going by, or the bus, the foghorn, whatever. You won't hear that anymore from the inside of your home. Durable, because it focuses on your envelope. And peace of mind, because your energy advisor is a third-party verified energy advisor. There's one thing we haven't talked about yet, but it's highly encouraged, especially at this point as we're building to a higher standard. It's new. A mid-construction blower door test is really an important piece of education for you as builders in your building projects. If you hire your energy advisor at the time when your building is at lockout, but your finishes aren't done, you can understand what the home is going to achieve as far as energy rating. And you can quickly run behind the energy advisor with a caulking gun and seal up any of those leaks. Really easy to find the leaks at the mid-construction stage. Once you're at finish, it's really hard to find some of those holes. So that's a not required, but a highly recommended or encouraged piece at this point. There's lots of available research and support at the energystepcode.ca. wanted to point out that the Energy Step Code is it's a collaboration of many, many organizations working together to support us all. The industry, the trades, the suppliers, the builders, the local governments, to build more energy efficient. The concluding comments are that the Energy Step Code developed with input from many. The base code is heading this way, and we already have high performance homes being built across BC. You may already be doing it in your own projects. And it's useful to help the building industry prepare for future code changes. We're creating healthier and better buildings. We're helping customers understand choices and reducing GHG emissions and energy consumption. And that's the end of my presentation. So over to Christy now, and thank you very much.
Okay, let's see if I've got this. Can everybody see my screen okay? Wonderful. Well, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody for putting on this training, and a big thanks to my father-in-law, Clark Hamilton, for mentioning some training for me, and I got a hold of Leslie, yeah, we were able to put this together. So let's get right into it here. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about changes to the design and build process, as John gave you guys some great details on the integrated design process that we need to transition into. I'm going to touch on working with an energy advisor, as well as the key principles of high performance building. I'm about 5 minutes late on my start time here, so I might go a little bit quick, so hopefully it's not information overload. So when we want to look at an example of the integrated design process, what is that going to look like for you as a builder? You know, what does that mean for you and your team? Well, what it means is that we're going to have to dedicate more time and energy in our design and developing our building energy model. And, you know, as John said, that's, you know, we're going to now have to sit down and get some meeting with all the key players on a project. We're going to need to ensure that we are really looking at a project possibly prior to even the plans being finalized, because as we all know, unfortunately, changes to plans cost us all money. So how can we avoid that? So again, looking at you know, our design, building envelope first, getting it modeled up. So once we've got the model completed, then that's when you can play with your energy advisor. And I say play because a model is like a giant puzzle, and every piece that's in that puzzle is a part of your build. And once that model's made, you can swap pieces out and you can check the performance, and your energy advisor can calculate it. So you are making that benchmark or meeting your goals. You might not want to just start out at step 1. You might want to start out at step 2 or step 3. We looked at Maryland in Campbell River, and Todd and Farron were already complying with the performance path originally. And then when the step code got launched, they transitioned into the step code and found themselves already building to a step 3 standard. And that's why they said it didn't cost them any extra money. They were already building to that standard. So you might find that too. If you haven't had your houses modeled yet, you might be pleasantly surprised. So what we need to look at is what does this process look like? So we're going to do the design. We're going to consult on that. We're going to make sure that it's at the performance we want. Then we're going to take all of those documentation, all that documents from the energy advisor, and we're going to apply for our build permit. We already have our solid plan. We know what we're doing, and now we're going to put that in for permit. So at that point, you're going to start construction. So once you get underway, we want to make sure that we've got a solid air barrier plan. There's a bunch of different components there. We want to look at the design of the project, and if we have any tricky spots, so that we know and our framers know while they're building what needs to go where. Then once we're to lock up, and Trish had mentioned that the mid-construction isn't mandatory, but I will tell you that in some municipalities it is mandatory. We already have municipalities over here in the Comox Valley that have the mid-construction mandatory. So prior to wall drywall, we need, if we have an attic, we need the drywall installed in the lids, but we want to be in prior to finishing so that when we put the fan on the door, and I always use it as an educational tool where I invite everybody, anybody, the insulators, anyone that wants to join, come on site, be a part of the mid-construction test. Because what happens is you get in there and we find these leaks, and we don't seal up while we're doing the test. We identify the leaks. So generally what I do is I have a pocket full of markers and I hand them out to everybody, and we walk around, and while I'm doing the test, we're all walking around, we're finding leaks and we're putting arrows to them or circling spots. And then after I go, that's when the builder can go back in. The key with the mid-construction is knowing what your air change is at prior to getting into finishing. So you already know where you're at. You might have already made your benchmark at 2.5. So that puts you at ease knowing that you're there. And if not, if you're not there, where are we leaking? What do we need to seal up? And your energy advisor will consult with you on different strategies in different areas for doing sealing work. So after that's completed, then what's going to happen is you are going to finish your construction. And at final, you have to have your energy advisor come in prior to applying for your occupancy, and give your energy advisor a few days, because they need to get in, they need to photograph, document everything. We need to run the blower door test, and we need to get those final documents together for you so that then they go to your building department for your occupancy permit. And after that, that's where then you can confirm your performance to apply for any incentives, or have your energy advisor apply for the incentives through either BC Hydro or FortisBC. So envelope first. So design strategies. When we're looking at our projects that we're about to construct, number one, envelope first, because our mechanicals and our heating loads are dictated by our envelope. So first things first, what's the plan? How complicated is it? I'm going to tell you right now, the simpler it is, the easier it is to air seal, and the easier it is to navigate all of this. If you can look here at our slides, look at how the difference in our TEDI, our thermal energy demand intensity of the first house compared to the one with all of the cantilevers and bump outs and dormers. Now, what I'm seeing, and also please notice the attached garage, because where that attached garage is an exposed floor. So that whole area again is losing heat. So let's look at our design first. Let's keep it simple. If we want to put dormers and things like that on, let's add some facades. We can add that on top of our building envelope, so we're not jeopardizing our air tightness, because as we move through these steps, our air tightness increases. So we will need to make some benchmarks. The second in our design strategy is looking at our solar angles and our overhangs. What are we doing there? As you can see in that picture, it was perfect. It was right in mid-July, and we were all melting while I was doing a training session, and standing outside there, it was a perfect photo opportunity to see the shade line below those windows. So because that house has that extended overhang when the sun is high in summertime, now we've created all of this shading. So now this house is not overheating. So again, this gets into that design factor. What are we doing for overhangs? What can we do? Let's plan for this. And again, orientation of our windows. Windows on our north side are always going to lose heat. A window is an R3 to an R5, depending. You're building R20 or 22 walls. So that surface area is losing a lot more heat. So again, thinking about, as Trish mentioned, sizing of our windows, location of them, what are we doing there? And this is all a part, again, of that design part. Looking at our air barrier strategies and detailing on our building plans, we need to now have these detailing on our plans so that when those plans go onto our site, our framers, everybody knows what the plan is prior to. We have a lot of steps that we need to take during construction that if they're missed, can be very tricky to try to band-aid and patch up in the end. So again, back to what John was saying, getting into this planning, really having a good solid air barrier strategy, detailing our plans, and ensuring we have continuity. That is what we need to build. That house there with a solid building envelope. I like to call it like a Ziploc bag house, you know, but remember, we're putting ventilation in, so don't worry, it's still going to be a healthy living environment. So let's start seeing some detailing on our building plan, showing our air barrier, the transitions, where it's going, so everybody on our team knows. Just a quick one here. Again, we're not doing prescriptive. And the reason why I kept this slide in is because guess what? You have complete flexibility, my friends, complete flexibility. Now, you know, you can build a 2x6 wall, you could buy a 2x4 wall, you can do a staggered stud wall. We can do whatever. And that's the nice thing with the BC Energy Step Code is because it looks at a project holistically with the 3 benchmarks, the mechanicals, the TEDI, and the air tightness, we have this flexibility to build completely unique. And as long as, again, when it's calculated holistically, we're meeting all of those requirements. So working with an energy advisor. So what kinds of things does an energy advisor need? Well, you need to get us all your information. So that means that once we've already done our pre-design meetings and we've done our shreds and everyone's on board and we've started to make some solid plans, now your energy advisor is going to need all of that data. So that means that prior to construction, we need to have a detailed list of course, our supplies, our what we're doing for insulation. We need to know our mechanicals. So we want to know makes and models. I want to know that you have an AHRI number on that system that your HVAC contractor is wanting to install. I want to check and make sure that that's a properly sized system for that house and it meets the heating load. We're still seeing oversized systems. So again, we really want to make sure that we're honing this down, and your energy advisor is going to take all this data and they're going to put all this into your model to be able to calculate out into the BC Energy Step Code calculator. Here's an example of what our compliance report looks like. So your energy advisor will complete the pre-construction report for you, where they input all of the data from the model. So we have to input all of the details of our building envelope, our mechanicals. We need to put the efficiencies, and then we need to input where we are sitting in regards to the step code metrics, what's required, and what we're committing to for what step we're trying to achieve. So your energy advisor will take care of this report. Here's an example of the mid-construction report. Again, while it may not be mandatory in some areas, it is mandatory in others and highly recommended, especially if you're trying to achieve a specific air tightness, because this is the only opportunity that we've got to get in there, identify the leaks, and figure out, you know, who's done what and where. And generally what happens is, you know, you're looking at a window and you think it must have been a Friday install because you've got a bunch of leaks and you're asking, well, who did this install? And, you know, everybody on site's like, he did, right? So let's get in there, let's do the mid, let's figure out where we've got deficiencies, and then we can all use it as a learning tool so that next time we don't have the same problem. Okay, so design strategy, again, back to the enclosure first. So we're going to talk a little bit, this is a little bit about high performance housing. We need to address air leakage. We need to add that insulation. We need to improve our windows, look at our window sizing, and we need to have properly sized mechanicals. Our old houses, I hear it all the time, houses need to breathe. Guess what? They don't. Houses don't need to breathe. People need to breathe. And that's the point of the ventilation system and having a healthy living environment. So you can see here where we've got that thicker outline, where we've got more insulation, we've got a tighter building envelope, we've got a ventilation system, and all that put together makes a high performance home. When we look at our mechanicals, again, traditionally we were looking at, you know, we have hood fans, we still have bath fans 24/7 running hottest humid air out of the house, which is just horrible. What we want to see is a heat recovery ventilator. We want to see a high efficiency system, high efficiency hot water. When we put all of that together, then we're going to equal high performance. Air barrier as a system, when we are looking at our air barrier, we really need to have a plan. We really need to have a plan on what we're using. I constantly drive around and see, you know, duct tape put on air barriers. So here's the question. Have you tested your air barrier system? Are you using the manufactured recommended tape with that exterior sheathing membrane? You know, are we using expanding spray foam in places where we might have movement? So therefore we're going to have cracks in that and then leak. So we got to make sure that we're using the proper products in the proper spots. And I don't know how many people, how many builders have an air boss on site yet, but I highly recommend having an air boss on site so that you have one professional on site that's always has their eyes on the air barrier and our building envelope. We don't want people drilling, punching holes, tearing things. So you got to have somebody there that's responsible, that's going to keep tabs on this. Sorry, I'm going a little faster, but we're almost out of time. So now here, if we look at our on-site quality control air boss, our air boss would prevent these kinds of things from happening. So if you can see here, we have a severe lack of continuity in all of these pictures, where our exterior sheathing membrane is supposed to be continuous, moving right into our interior. You can see here where they've just brought it up and cut it off. We can see where sometimes in the framing, they've got the air barrier going through the framing, but then it doesn't match up on the other framing section. So how do we navigate that? And again, that's going to come down to the planning. And I'm going to say it again, the simpler the design, the simpler it is to seal. So here's some of the issues and some of the things that I come into and see, and then have to try to figure out, okay, guys, how are we going to work this? What are we going to do here? And a lot of times that means that we're transitioning into high performance products, which equals higher price. So again, if we can plan this out, we can get a solid plan, get everybody educated on page. We don't have to band-aid our projects, and we don't have to look at using these very expensive projects. So here is the BC Energy Step Code website, a huge, fabulous, amazing resource to go. I encourage you to look on there. There is some amazing, amazing documents for builders. There's the website right there. And I just want to say thank you. I'm 5 minutes over, apologies. Thank you so much for everybody for attending today, and super excited about your guys' transitioning. And please feel free to email me if you have any questions about what's to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christy.
Okay, how do I stop on sharing my screen here? Hold on. Stop share. Here we go.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, we've gone a little over time, but we do, if there are any questions, you guys can go ahead and post them in the chat or raise your hand and I can direct them. So we do have 2 questions here. One says, will you have to be a certified energy advisor to conduct blower door tests? I am currently performing them in Seashell for builders on the coast.
I can take that one.
Thanks.
And yes, you are required to be a registered energy advisor through Natural Resources Canada in order to produce the documentation for the BC Energy Step Code. That said, anybody can have a blower door fan and test building envelopes. Unfortunately, you are required to be registered with Natural Resources Canada in order to ensure that you have the qualifications, you have the proper program. I did see the question about the program. We use HOT 2000, which is a program that has been developed and evolved since I think about the 80s. That Natural Resources Canada is constantly updating. To my dismay, I have to constantly keep upgrading the versions every 6 months. So yes, it's a constant evolving, and yeah, so definitely you must be an energy advisor for the program, and HOT 2000s are our program we use.
Awesome, thank you. Any more questions? This is your chance. No, I'm not seeing any. So
I saw the question about the training. What resources and training? And, they did mention BCIT. And yes, I'm also an instructor for BCIT. We've got a program coming up So keep tabs on the Zero Energy Building training coming up. And as well, if you are wanting more training, then I encourage you to contact your local municipalities and maybe the Sunshine Coast. We can all work together and we can do some very specific training for you guys so that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up, Christy. This is sort of our first webinar. We've launched it. We wanted to launch it prior to the implementation of the STEP code. So if any of you have any questions or feel like you need resources, please do reach out to us. And we can organize something in the new year or sometime next year. Okay, we've got a question from Suzette. I'll allow you to talk, Suzette. Go ahead, you can ask your question. Oh, let me unmute you. You'll have to unmute yourself, actually.
There. Can you hear me? It's not Suzette, it's actually Mike Stevenson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, I'm a builder on the Sunshine Coast here, and I had the great fortune of last year being invited by the Canadian Wood Council to go on a tour to Austria and Germany last year. We were actually there last year at this time. And we had government officials with us from Austria and Germany. When we traveled through Austria, we had a government official that dealt with net zero and everything. And we went to tour net zero buildings and high efficient buildings and factories. And it was absolutely fantastic. I love this stuff. But one of the questions that came up was kind of future net zero implications in Europe. They're farther ahead than we are. And one of the things that they said is that they are actually scrapping net zero because of the cost, the elevated cost in doing it, which came to a shock. We had a couple of people that were on the tour that are a big push for net zero in Canada. So I'm just curious what you guys think. Myself being a builder for 36 years here, the cost for net zero is massive, even though they say there is no cost to it. But yeah, you can go ahead. You have your hand up, Christy.
I do. So I am net zero certified as an energy advisor, and I completed a project in Port Alberni. And I will say again, back to the design. So the net zero project that we did, again, the design itself was quite simple. I think there ended up being 9 windows in the whole house, very strategically placed. We had larger overhangs. We planned, of course, the solar. Well, this wasn't just a net zero ready, this was a net zero certified. We went with a mini ductless heat pump for our heating system. When we calculated it, I must say the one investment that we did find that we were lacking was in the hot water system. So what we ended up having to do was to transition into an air to water source heat pump for their hot water to be able to kick that energy down a little bit. So the insulation that was already planned in the project was already slightly above code. The footprint of the project, I think it was probably about 800 square feet per floor. It was 2 stories. They had a hot roof, and so the mechanicals were all up in the kind of 2.5 story portion up in the top. And the owners are severely happy with it and found that the budget actually was not that much above a traditional build, except for, of course, the solar system that was installed on the roof.
Well,
so,
in Europe, they've said that it is because we toured housing factories that they pre-built. This company that we went to, I think in Europe it's something like 70%, could be wrong on that percentage, of new houses built are actually packaged homes. And they said the cost and the environmental impact just simply to manufacture all those extra products, the offset, they've done a whole pile of studies on it, I guess, and they've switched it from net zero. I think their goal was 2030, somewhere. They were ahead of us by a few years. And they're going for a high efficient build. And we went to commercial buildings, we went to low rises, mid-rise houses, all kinds of stuff. So I found it quite interesting that they've scrapped it. Just, I mean, there was multiple reasons, and a lot of it was cost. Even though you say it doesn't cost that much more, I've been doing this for my whole life, and I disagree. Even though I love this stuff, I'm actually going to start building my own place, and I'm going off grid. So it's going to be a incredibly high efficient house, but I personally disagree with the fact that it's not going to cost that much more. So.
Well, I say that in regards to, most of the projects that I work on, honestly, are monster houses, giant
that's
houses.
What I do too.
And so if you take that and you take that monster house on that same lot and you just completely reinvent it and you shrink it in and you stack it. And instead of having that attic space, we've got that hot roof, and we utilize our space differently, and we plan it differently. When you're not, like take out every dormer, no more dormers, and so when we start cutting and chipping away at the design, then what we find is that again, that's going to cut the cost. While our insulation budget's going up, we can trim down in other areas. And again, that's where that the design is critical, and the simpler the better. But I hear what you're saying. And again, the step code, the mandate of the step code is not technically to have every house net zero certified. The mandate and the purpose of the step code is to transition all of us in the industry to a high performance product.
Yeah. I know if you build a box, it's a lot more efficient than most of the stuff that I do is, a little on the crazy side of things. And it's pretty hard to make that into net zero just because of dormers and all kinds of stuff. But the majority of people don't want to live in a box, and that is the reality of it, right?
It is true. We all have to evolve now, don't we?
Everybody wants to come and have this picture perfect house that they step into or look at, right? And the majority of people don't really want to live in a box. They want some aesthetically pleasing thing, but it costs a lot extra.
Well, and you bring up a good point. We need to transition, our society in the way we think of houses. Instead of, wanting the mansion and the castle on the hill, we need to start thinking about, okay, well, I don't want to be paying, $3,500, a month for a 7,500 square foot house to heat it, and my pool and my hot tub, so we need to try to start thinking differently. Of course, you have to make your clients happy. So it's this balance, right? It's this balancing act constantly. And so again, like me, all I can do is suggest ideas, offer upgrade solutions and ideas, and quantify them to explain this is going to make your utilities this much lower by making this choice. But again, we all know the finishing budgets on a house is way more than the HVAC and mechanicals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to ask some more questions here. We've got a couple more. So thanks for that question. So for Christy, what are typical costs for an EA on a standard project all in?
Okay, so this is a really hard one, of course, because for you to know as well, energy advisors are generally all independent contractors. So while we have association memberships and many of us are affiliated with associations, there's no standard fee. So let's just say a simple design 2,000 square foot house participating in the full step code path. That would include the modeling, the meetings, doing the mid-construction, blower door test. The final, and then all of that would probably be around $2,500 depending. So $2,000 to $3,000. And then that will go up as you require more energy and time and consulting from your energy advisor to make the higher steps and take more time, you know, say in the design process where we're having these meetings that we didn't traditionally have. So that's where it can go up from there. And again, for your modeling work, the more complicated the design, because remember, your energy advisor is building this. So we have to measure off of your building plans, and we have to make every little measurement and component and put it into the program. So the more complicated the design, the more cost as well. So you might have a 2,000 square foot house that I'm saying would be around $2,000, but then you send me the plans and there's like 5 dormers, a bonus garage, and 3 cantilevers. So that's going to be a lot more expensive because again, the energy advisor is going to have to take that much more time to measure and calculate all of these spots. So at this point in time, I would say anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 to start, moving up to say about $4,000 or $5,000 if you are requiring more time and more help.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and another one. How do you plan to get the public to buy into the net zero approach? Many of the houses constructed on the Sunshine Coast have amazing views and the clients want to take advantage of them using large window walls, etc. Will this even be possible in the future? Do you anticipate pushback?
Yes, this is completely possible. And what happens is what we need to do is we need to look at our project very specifically, site specific, orientation specific. And yes, if we want to put more windows on our water side, well, then maybe we're going to transition into triple glazed windows for those few windows. You know, maybe what we're going to do is instead of doing a giant picture window, maybe we'll do some thinner elongated windows, because again, you know, explaining, and that's where actually it's really on our builder to really educate our homeowners to understand that, of course, you know, that window is an R3. Your wall is an R20 to an R22. So it's going to be a lot of heat loss. So explaining that their decisions in the design will affect the comfort of their home. And yes, of course, we always have people that are going to want to put like giant windows, a whole wall of windows and everything. So if you're going to do that, let's just use better windows then. Let's use better windows.
Awesome, thank you. And then we've got another one here. Okay, let's see. What level of responsibility will building inspectors have in monitoring implementation during the construction process? So I will pass that to a building inspector. Alan, are you still there? Can you answer that one?
I am still here. Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Yes, we anticipate working closely with the energy advisor. Part of our role won't be checking the prescriptive requirement of the code as it is today. We'll be looking at the model that we receive and along with the advisor, ensuring that what they have planned to put in there and where their air barrier is located, et cetera, that they are in place as they have specified.
Okay, thank you. Here's another one. As an HVAC contractor, what is the process to become an energy advisor?
Okay, I guess that one's to me too. So number one, a registered energy advisor with Natural Resources Canada is a third-party professional. So what that means is that I sell nothing. The only thing that I sell is upgrade ideas, concepts, and strategies. So that becomes a choice as an energy advisor because we're not permitted to double dip. So I can't be, you know, selling triple glazed windows and recommending them to my builders while I'm doing their energy modeling, right? So first of all is, you know, if you're wanting to find out more about becoming an energy advisor, please fire me off an email. What happens is that there's a couple different ways that you can go about it. So sometimes a company will take you on and you can do on-the-job training and work with a mentor and gain your knowledge and experience modeling with a mentor. Another way that some people become energy advisors is by taking specified training that's offered by a few different organizations. And then in order to become registered, we are required to take examinations through Natural Resources Canada. So the first exam is the foundations exam. So to ensure that you have a basic knowledge, a good overall holistic knowledge of the construction of a Part 9 building. And then after you've passed that exam, then you can go and take the energy advisor exam, which then goes into the responsibilities, the technical requirements, and everything with the modeling and the HOT 2000 program. That said, there's nothing in the energy advisor training that teaches you about step code. So like step code is the province's baby, and that's our building code. But the energy advisor and all the training involved is specifically working with HOT 2000 and knowing the process of a construction of a house.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and one more question here. How are the building bylaws going to reflect our ability, more simple, less exterior detailed homes? So I think that's a question about the design, how our building bylaw is going to reflect the design of homes to build. Well, building bylaws don't go into the design, the detail of design. They talk about the requirements to meet the building code. If you are in a form and character area, development permit area, that's where we get into more of the design. But they shouldn't be speaking specifically about exterior finishings and stuff like that. Alan, do you want to add to that?
I'm not sure I can. Certainly the building bylaw and the building code don't really deal with designs. So I'd say I don't know if there would be a relationship between introducing a more simple design and the actual codes. The one question that may come up at some point, if a building is proposed to have exterior insulation, now your walls are thicker, and simple things like measuring your setbacks now, where do they come from? Do they typically be measured to the foundation or the building line? But if you are adding insulation to the exterior of that building, does that change that? That's a question that in the building department we can't answer. It's more a planning question to see how that would be tackled. And I think there was another question in the chat at one point about roof overhangs as well. Was there an allowance to come into the setbacks? And again, that really has nothing to do with the building code or the building bylaw, but it may have something to do with planning and citing exceptions for coming into the setbacks or site coverage. So I think that answers it.
Well, I'll jump in on that one as well, but there's also the connection with fire separations. So yes, roof overhangs can go halfway into a setback in many zoning bylaws, but then you think about the proximity of houses, where they're located in relation to fire service. So that has to factor in as well. So there's step code, there's building code, zoning bylaws, fire code, and we have to marry those all together, which can be challenging.
Okay. I'm not seeing any more questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and put up our contact. I'll put up everyone's contact information so you can have it one more time. And if you have any questions, raise your hands. There we go. There we go. Okay, no more questions. So thank you everybody for participating. We had 50 people in this webinar, which is awesome because we didn't know there was no registration or anything. So thank you all for participating and taking the time today. Here's our contact information. If you need to get a hold of us, feel free to flick us an email, and we'll try our best to share more resources or answer your questions. If you guys want some more feedback on what you need to meet the step code, let us know and we can try and organize something. All right, so thanks everyone and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.